Welcome, everyone, to the Green Nurse podcast, where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. We're here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Did I say that word high? I want you to think of the word a little bit differently. Think of H is for hope, I is for inspiration, G is for growth, and H is for healing. You deserve to feel good. We all deserve to feel good, and cannabis can be a facilitator to feeling good, even without that high word that we might all be afraid of. So I have a little video to set the stage about what we do in the cannabis space as nurses, and then we're going to get into our very important, amazing show. And with this video, we'll get started.
Healthcare.
Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I'm the founder of Holistic Caring. We're based here in California, and we do educational programs and case management for patients on how to use cannabis therapeutically as a medicine.
We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high, hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing.
As the founder of Holistic Caring, I basically oversee the whole ship. And what we're doing is progressive education.
Cannabis actually supports all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all the neurotransmitter signaling systems that give messages to tell our body to either do something or not do something. Because the plant was prohibited, it prevented health professionals, doctors and nurses from learning about cannabis as medicine.
I want to change the paradigm of healthcare and us paving the way into a new vanguard of medicine.
It's about education. It's about empowerment. It's about teaching people how to feel good, bridging the gap from what they're not getting from traditional medicine, utilizing different plant medicines, adaptogens, tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs of information to support and nourish the most important system in our body.
And it's a lot of soul work, a lot of love, a lot of discipline and meditation. I'm using my life work as a testimony to others to learn how they can be their own hero and then go help heal the world.
And we are, as nurses, the game changers.
All right. Growing in health, growing in cannabis. So I'm going to put a little stop to that. And let's hit stop share. And we'll come back and welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to the Green Nurse podcast, again, where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. And again, we are here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good. You know, my name is Sherry Mack. I'm the Chief Nursing Officer and co-founder of Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse and Vice President of Nursing at Bloom Hemp CBD. I'm a cannabis nurse, cannabis patient, advocate, activist, and a very passionate podcaster here to change the paradigm of healthcare. This is my 8th year podcasting The Green Nurse Living Your Best Life. I started podcasting back in 2018 when the National Council State Boards of Nursing came out with their guidelines that all nurses must have 6 essential areas of knowledge when it comes to cannabis as medicine. I started podcasting to share compelling stories of healing since I too use cannabis as a medicine. So cannabis nursing has been recognized as a specialty, and nurses are truly making an impact on advocating for the safe therapeutic use of cannabis by teaching on the endocannabinoid system and how to optimize cannabis as a medicine for health, healing, and wellness purposes. As plant medicine nurses, our role extends beyond recommending cannabis and hemp products, and we strive to provide alternative solutions from multiple modalities that support and nourish this most important system, promoting health, healing, and overall wellness. So very grateful to be here today, and today's show is being sponsored by Bloom Hemp CBD, and we're really excited that Bloom Hemp is now being offered at the Hempress Wellness online shop, which we're going to talk about today. Going to get into today with our very special interview guest, with Leiann Stephenson. So I want to introduce our guest today. Leiann Stephenson is the founder and CEO of Hempress Wellness. She is a visionary leader with over 30 years of expertise in the energy and finance sectors and a decade of experience in the cannabis industry. Her journey into natural medicine began in 2015, inspired by a personal experience with the healing power of CBD. We're going to get into that story. A year later, she ventured into Oregon's legal cannabis market by founding the Dub Wholesale, now recognized as the state's leading cannabis transporter. And we're going to talk about what cannabis transportation means. In 2021, Leiann launched Hempress Wellness, a thoughtfully curated marketplace featuring clean, craft, women-led CBD brands dedicated to providing natural and alternative solutions to synthetic medicine. Beyond her entrepreneurial endeavors, Leiann actively contributes to shaping industry policy through her work with the NCIA Hemp Committee and the CIAO Policy Committee. Based in the Pacific Northwest, Leiann balances her professional achievements with a fulfilling personal life as a mother, grandmother, and a proud caretaker of 2 standard poodles. Welcome to the show, Leiann. It's an honor to have you here today.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So, we were talking a little bit, before the show, and I said, I always like to start the interviews off with, God, I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be a cannabis nurse. There's generally, a compelling story, and I want the audience to be able to hear your story of what brought you into the arena and how and why you developed such a passion for what you're doing.
I think it's twofold. One is it's personal, and the other is it was an opportunity to enter an industry in the very beginning phases. And that was exciting for someone who'd been doing the same thing for 30 years, and to take the skills I knew and to be able to put it to a new endeavor was exciting, to be honest. But I wasn't sure. I'm always very clear. I was not a cannabis user. I grew up in the say no to drugs, and it was just never part of my world. A dear, dear friend of mine walked every Friday. And when I was introduced to the idea of starting a business, I went to a meeting called Women Grow.
Yeah.
And at that meeting, I walked in not knowing what to expect. I went from my downtown office corporate to a meeting. I didn't know what to expect, and walked into women attorneys, CPAs, PhDs in horticulture. I mean, you name it, nurses, doctors. It was fascinating to be in that room and learning. And I'm standing in the corner. I didn't know anybody, watching, and I'm an introvert by nature. And lo and behold, here comes my friend who I walk with every Friday. And she looks at me in shock, and I look at her in shock. We start chatting. She's a neighbor. She and her husband had a medical grow in their basement, and they had medical patients. She was a breast cancer survivor and used cannabis, but because of the stigma, never said a word to me. And I was in her home. I didn't have a clue what was in her basement. And so she began to educate me. I was the only person allowed in the grow that wasn't a patient, besides she and her husband. And she taught me about the plant. I was able to touch it, trim it, talk to it. I mean, and I love to garden, but it was a whole new world for me. I still, in my mind, it was medicine, it was medical. I didn't have any medical need to use it. And it wasn't until a year or so later where someone who was a customer said to me, Leiann, I have a topical. I know your knee hurts, you're limping. Just try this topical. And literally it took 10 minutes and my muscle pain was gone. And it was, wait, there is so much more I don't know that I need to know. And I started digging in. I mean, that is exactly how it all started. it's been a journey, but listening more to people's stories and doing more research on really the medical side of it, which is why I was so excited to meet you and to really learn more about what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Yeah. So before you actually entered into the cannabis and hemp space, can you tell us about your journey and how it prepared you for entrepreneurship? Because we know that being a
I
cannabis entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart.
I think that anyone who is not in business in cannabis, who thinks they can come into cannabis and run their business, oh, logistics, oh, transportation, I know how to do that. You learn very quickly that it's not normal. There are so many things to it. I had within two industries that you would think would be boring and normal, I had very eclectic experience. Everything from sitting as an executive assistant to a CEO and chief of staff. So being the liaison to everybody in the company that reported into the C-suite, to running talent acquisition and talent management for, which is really the recruitment and human resources is my background, to growing up in a family-owned business. My father successfully started 5 businesses, and I knew what it was like to be in a family-owned entrepreneurial environment growing up. And so it was a very eclectic journey. And to be honest, in 2015, I was bored. My youngest was headed off to college, and I had been doing the same thing. And a friend of mine said, it's now legal in Oregon, cannabis. I've been thinking about starting distribution. Everyone's talking about retail or growing or manufacturing. No one is talking about how to get product from A to B in regards to transportation. And I thought, oh, well, from an administrative, operational, logistics perspective, I can help with that. I can do that. And it's been an interesting journey, very much so. But without all of my diverse experience, I wouldn't know what questions to ask. I wouldn't know who to call to ask those questions. I didn't necessarily have the knowledge. I had the knowledge of, okay, if I have a question about this, this is the type of person I need to call and find out the answer to. So that's really how that happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and some of your other questions in 2016, you took a huge leap into what you called the Wild West of the cannabis industry. What was that like, building a licensed logistics company from the ground up with no prior industry experience?
No prior industry experience and no investors. So that's the other thing, is that you're starting a business from scratch and not really recognizing the costs of getting a license in cannabis, the regulatory mandates, how you would put your building together or build out your business in a normal business environment in cannabis. Recreational cannabis is quite different. And so there are just regulatory loopholes that you have to go through. And in fact, for the first maybe 6 years in business, some of those loopholes changed on a monthly basis as the state figured out how to run a cannabis industry within their state. And so for us, it was starting small so that any mistakes we made, we could pivot quickly and fix them. And if an idea didn't work, then we said, okay, let's scrap that and let's try this. And I have an extraordinary team on the cannabis side that have been alongside me for quite a while.
It's amazing. That's awesome. So, okay. So then you made the shift, right? So you made the shift from B2B logistics platform to founding the Hempress, which is B2C. So for those that want to know the difference, B2B is business to business. B2C is business to consumer or customer, online marketplace. So what made you shift from that?
I couldn't find CBD and I didn't use cannabis. I discovered through my journey that I have a very low tolerance for THC, but that high CBD or full spectrum hemp CBD helped me with my inflammation. It helped me with my headaches. It helped me, and I had a hard time finding it. And I kept hearing about all these amazing brands. Oregon has amazing brands. In Oregon, there are laws where hemp companies need to go through the OLCC, so you can only get it in dispensaries, which makes it much more expensive in a lot of ways. So I started traveling the country, and I really wanted to understand if we were going to start this direct-to-consumer e-commerce site, what was there and who was there. And to be honest, I went to trade shows and I started talking to individual brands, and I knew enough and had been working in cannabis long enough to understand that what lab results should look like, how clean craft product is grown, how it's processed. And I learned a lot through osmosis and just working with experts on the cannabis side. And so I knew what questions to ask. And I'll be honest, the first 5 brands that I chose to work with were all women, and they were the ones that could answer all my questions. They were the ones that came back to me and said, this is, we did this for my family. I did this for my mother. I did this for, they are very much family focused, and the product's so clean. So I started a process where I would try the product to see, because I'm super sensitive. And I had individuals on my team and around me that would test and try the product. And then I discovered that women are not well represented in the industry. And I wanted to help. So I decided to focus 100% on women-founded brands.
That's so great. So yeah, your website states you're passionate about supporting other women-led brands. I've been onto your website, and we're going to take a tour of the site in a little bit. And that mission is important to you because women have been underrepresented. Yeah. So how do you find the brands you work with besides going to trade shows? How did you word of mouth? How did you?
Word of mouth, but I also search and I look. And when we curated the website, and we continue to curate it, I'm about to add a skincare brand here in the next month or so. We really curate, and we want to make sure that the product that we have on the site, one, complement each other and don't necessarily compete against each other. Yeah. Yes, there are multiple topicals, but they might have different ingredients. You might have someone who's sensitive to menthol or sensitive to something. So there will be products that don't have that are strong in CBD, and then others that have that because someone prefers having that cold on a topical. And so we've really tried to curate it so that there's a diverse types of products that will do a lot of the same things without being direct competitors, if that makes sense. Sometimes it's hard, but that's what we try to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, being a hemp, I mean, you want to make sure that you're representing multiple product lines and not having over duplication of same thing. Yeah. So you want to pick the best of the best. Yeah. So how do you pick your products? How do you pick them? That's like not even on that question. I don't on my question list, but I was gonna. Yeah. How do you pick?
The first thing I do, and you guys experience this at Bloom, is I order as a consumer. I go to your site, I order the product, I pay for the product that I'm interested in. I want to see how it's delivered to me. I want to see the care or not care that it's packed and taken care of, the efficacy of the product when it arrives. Obviously, I'm also looking at the COAs, which for your audience, anytime that hemp or you're researching what to buy, you should always have access to the lab results on the website, or if you're at the store, ask them for it. Do you have the lab results? Because any company of integrity is going to have those, so that you can look to see how clean the product is. I like to do some research to see where is the source product from. Like for Bloom, it's in Colorado. Yep. And you are able to kind of go back, and I get to know where that product is. I have a 94-year-old mother-in-law. She loves CBD. I don't want her to try anything that I don't know is extraordinarily clean and wonderful. And so I'm very careful about the research I do. And then I'm very judicious. Some might say I move slowly, but I want to make sure that everything that we're doing is at the right time, the right product, and that there's not that duplication.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. So Hempress Wellness has a strong focus on education. Why do you believe clarity and science-backed insight are the first steps towards empowered wellness?
I think you need to know what you're putting in your body.
You do.
And I mean, I just, and how many times do you take medicine because it's at the drugstore or a pharmacist will say, oh, do this and this and this. And are you reading the ingredients? Probably not, because the pharmacist gave it to you. I mean, I'm being honest as a normal lay person and not a medical professional. And I've discovered that even with CBD, people will say, "Oh, Leiann, that works. Okay, I'll try it." And I said, "Well, wait. If you're going to take anything orally, are you on any medications? Are there things that it might interact with? You just need to understand what's going in your body." And so for me, the education piece is so important, and we're continuing to try to work with brands and folks that help us provide that as well.
Yeah. And for the people that are watching is, one of the things is do as much research on the pharmaceuticals that they prescribe you as you
I
would
know.
on the
I
hemp
know.
products that, that you're seeking to take. Like literally, people need to do the research on everything that they put into their bodies, because that's one of the things that we teach people when they're consuming cannabis or hemp CBD products. Everything that you do or don't do in your life is going to affect how cannabis or hemp CBD plays out in your day, how it works for you. So the cleaner that you're living your life, the better the products are going to work for you. It just may take a little bit longer if you have some habits that need to be kicked. And that's one of the things that we educate on. Very well.
That's one of the reasons, Sherry, I was so excited about your nurses hotline.
Yeah.
Is I cannot tell you how many times I have customers reach out to me to say, "Oh, I'm so excited. It really sounds like I could use this gel cap, or I could use this tincture." And my first question is, are you on any other medications? And they'll say, "Well, yeah, but," and I said, "No." But I never had any way to say, okay, because I'm not a medical professional, I have no clue. And so now I know I can send them to you and to the hotline to ask their basic questions. And it's such a relief for me.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you find that that's a benefit service, because we wish people would use it more because it's there. And that's, 970-404-HOPE, Hope 4673, because it's a great service to have. If Elizabeth and I don't answer the phone, we have a pharmacist that answers the phone, even better. So, we either have a nurse or a pharmacist that answers the phone. And then if you leave a message and we don't answer the phone, we call you back the next day. So, it's open 20.
It's so important.
It is. And the part that I like about the nurse line too is for even those patients that don't want to talk, you can text us. That's even better, right? The nurse line has an opportunity so you can text. You don't even have to talk to us. You can text us and we're still going to answer your question. So that's been something that's been very beneficial for a lot of people as well, having the opportunity to have a registered nurse to just run their questions by, and realizing that, it's almost like a safety net. We come with built-in support, and you don't see that a lot with other brands.
Yeah, no,
So
I appreciate it.
yeah. So I'm glad that you are hands-on with every CBD product. So you did kind of walk me through the process of what that means to you, when you share with your own family, which was great. I want to hear a little bit more too about your story of when you put the topical on your morning stiffness. So your first encounter of using topicals, your first encounter of consuming it, and what it felt like to you, because you're very sensitive, so you're very aware of your body. And this will be important for people to hear, knowing that you were sensitive to cannabis, and knowing that, you don't want a lot of THC. I want people to hear from you what it felt like to experience this, when you first.
I will, yeah. In my mind, I thought of cannabis like everybody else did, probably growing up in the 70s and 80s. Um, but until I was educated, and then I thought of it as serious medicine for serious reasons, with my friend. And so I didn't think about it the way that, oh, well, I will use it because you need to know, don't use anything. I just am so blessed and lucky. I just have stiff muscles. But I had hurt my knee. I had fallen and it was sore. And when my friend, who her products are also on my site, she is a CBD brand as well, she said, Leiann, try this. Just try this roll on. And I put it on my knee. And to be honest, I forgot about it. That's how fast and well it hurt. I was in conversation with her, and all of a sudden, my knee is now bent. I'm not holding it, I'm not rubbing it. I just forgot about it because it didn't hurt. And she looked at me and smiled and said, Hey, does your knee hurt still? I was like, No, it doesn't. And so I use every day. I tend to not ingest anything unless I need it for a particular reason. I actually use and I'm not saying this as a commercial, but I use your Focus tincture. If I'm going to have a meeting in the afternoon, if I'm going to have anything, I will take a little bit of your tincture. It's the only the only thing I ingest. Everything else I use are topicals, but I do, I hold my tension like a lot of people do in my neck and my shoulders. And so every night before I go to bed, I use a topical on my neck and my shoulders. And I don't wake up with a stiff neck. I don't wake up. And so I think that's my thing, Sherry, is that you have to, with CBD and hemp or cannabis, you have to experiment.
Yeah.
And my guidance to always anybody, don't take a gummy, take a quarter of a gummy or a half of a gummy until you know how it makes your body feel. Don't take the full dose of the tincture, take a little bit and then slowly build it up because you just don't know how your body is going to react. That's I tend to be cautious by nature.
Yep. Yeah. And then when we're working with patients, we have what when I'm working with the patient, I'll say, there's the start low and go slow route, which could, take a couple months for you to get to your therapeutic dose, which is fine. There's no rush. Then there's the medium, advanced dosing. And then there's I want the full care plan and I want it today. And so that's what we do as nurses, as cannabis nurses, is we meet patients where they're at, have that detailed conversation with them, on their comfort level, because people, and I'll just share a story it was actually a nurse that was getting her PhD, and she had a ton of anxiety and she was microdosing such little amounts that I said, you really need to go up a little bit more. You need to go up a little bit more. I don't want you to be afraid. And when she took the dose, she was like, oh my God, am I high? I go, no, you're not high. You're calm for the first time. You haven't felt calm in your entire life. So, right. So you don't know what it means to feel relaxed. It feels foreign to you so that you're labeling it as high. So I always like to tell people to not judge the feeling right away, particularly if
You know what, that makes sense. Yeah,
it does make
it
sense.
does.
Yeah.
Because you hear stories, people will tell you, oh, Leiann, no, oh no, I can't do that because I had an edible when I was in high school or college and it was a mess. And so, so what happens is people have those experiences or they hear about people having those experiences and it puts a roadblock.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's helpful when I anybody that I grew up with, when they discovered what industry I was in, they were all a little shocked, and got a good laugh out of it, to be honest, because I was, the goody two shoes. I didn't drink. I didn't, it was never just part of my world. It was just never part of my world. And so even my daughter, who, my kids thought that it was really funny. And then as I started educating them, and my daughter had tension headaches and always migraines, everything else. And she started self-medicating in college for that reason. And so she finally came out and said, well, Mom, let me explain to you my experience.
Yeah.
And so it's allowed us to really open up a little bit about the benefits. I think people don't realize that when they are using cannabis, that they are self-medicating,
Yeah.
because it makes them feel a certain way, a better way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about it being used the right way. I just think it's a
Yeah.
great method.
It can be, and it can be, there is, okay, so I'll just go and talk about the therapeutic use of cannabis. And this is perfect for this little educational nugget for our viewers, right? So according to, the American Nurses Association, which represents 5 million nurses, just recognized cannabis nursing as a specialty. This was in 2023. 2024, the scope and standards of cannabis nursing was published. And that's a book about the who, what, when, where, and why. There's 18 standards for registered nurses, master's prepared nurses, and advanced practice nurses. And in that book, it states that the therapeutic use of cannabis is the use of cannabis products for medicinal, wellness, and healing purposes. It's personal and subjective to each consumer, with objective criteria being improvement in one of the 5 health domains: biological, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social, without negatively impacting any of the others. So, in other words, if you are, emotionally and mentally feeling great, but spiritually in the toilet and sitting on the couch eating chips and scrolling and not doing anything, that's not therapeutic use. So you need to have improvement in one of the 5 health domains without it negatively impacting any of the others. And so that's a really good way for people to kind of sit with it, right? And to sit with the thought of, am I using this therapeutically or am I not using this therapeutically? Am I having an improvement in one of my 5 health domains, and is one of them being negatively impacted? If it is, then that's when people need to reevaluate how they're consuming cannabis and to maybe switch it up a little bit, right? Or take a tolerance break, or just do more CBD, or do more nutraceuticals, or more meditating. And that's what we do as nurses, is we teach people how to use lifestyle as medicine when they don't have access to cannabis or hemp products, because there's things that you can do to get you into the relaxation response. And that's really what it is all about. The endocannabinoid system signals both the fight or flight response and the relaxation response. The relaxation response can be attained using cannabis and hemp, but it can also be attained by doing other things: grounding, breath work, polyvagal therapy, humming, singing, chanting. Like, there's so many different things that you can do that are woo-woo, that are out there, that actually work. And so
there is so much, and it is 100% about education. And I think people don't realize that athletes use CBD and hemp.
yeah.
That, I mean, it is so quietly used in such a widespread way, that I think I discovered that I was truly not a cool kid growing up. Because even as an adult in our social circle, I was definitely not the cool person, because it turned out I was the only one that didn't know that everybody else was using cannabis or CBD and hemp in, some sort of medicinal way.
Yeah, I wasn't cool either. I got in trouble all the time for everything. I got caught for everything I did and got grounded all the time. So, but I did enjoy it when I did have access to it. But for the most part, my cannabis journey truly began when I became a patient on the other side of the bed years ago, and truly saved my life and has helped me to live a much better quality of life, and has come off of a lot of pharmaceuticals. And, that's what we can teach, cannabis and hemp CBD for wellness. What does that look like? It looks like what? Replacing the sleep medications, replacing some anti-anxiety medications, cutting down on pain medications, cutting down on alcohol use, quitting tobacco, right? Like allowing, and pairing it with different activities so you can do what? Live your best life. That's like my tagline, and that's really what it is all about for so many different people, is how do we teach them how to live their best life with what's going on in any given moment? And cannabinoids can be great facilitators for that. So you are a leader with a unique blend of strategic vision and a no nonsense approach. How do you balance those two aspects in your day-to-day work?
That's a good question. I believe that you can be a very straightforward communicator with kindness. And I'm not afraid to ask questions or to find information. I have never been the person who, I don't mind being the person to ask the question when no one else in a room will ask it, because you know that they're thinking it. And so, and there are so many questions, unanswered questions in our industry, both on the cannabis and the CBD hemp side, that I discovered that I wanted to understand what was not just happening within our state, but what was happening nationally. And so when I joined NCIA, which is the National Cannabis Industry Association, and I specifically asked to sit on their hemp committee because I wanted to understand. And I've been in DC, I've sat in front of legislators, I have sat at the table with them, talking with them, trying to understand what the mindset is at the legislative level, so that hopefully we can help educate the legislators as well for our industry. And so when we're working, whether it's locally, whether it's within the company, whether it's with new customers, however we're communicating, we're just trying to do it authentically, and no BS, just, trying to do it the best way we possibly can.
Yeah, that's great. So I just want to make sure we get to all of these questions. So again, this is might be repeating myself here, but the CBD market can be a very crowded space. As we can see, there's CBD in every gas station. What specific qualities or commitments set Hempress Wellness apart from other marketplaces, other online marketplaces? So, and we're going to take it
great market. Yeah, there are some great marketplaces, for sure. And there are some amazing products out there. I think what sets us apart is, one, we're focused on women-founded brands. Two, and just as importantly, very clean craft product, so that there is a guarantee. We call it the Hempress certified, in that we have put it through our process so that whatever product you're purchasing off of our site has been completely vetted. It's not just because a brand has reached out to us and said, hey, I'd love to be on your website. I like the other brands that are on there and I want to be on the same site with them, because we get that call a lot.
Yeah.
And we turn people away because they may not meet some of the criteria. So it's very curated. And so it's very specific, which I think sets it apart from a lot of other sites that are out there. In regards to getting the word out, we're trying to figure that out.
Absolutely.
Like every other.
That's my next question, having to do with strategy. What is your strategy for using Hempress Wellness to bring awareness of natural alternatives to the market?
Doing things like this. I think what consumers may not understand is that when we're on social media, when there are restrictions, and they will ban your site if you indicate that, try CBD for inflammation. If you can't say it helps with your pain, they're very specific about what you can and cannot say about your product, and they will ban your use of Instagram or Facebook. which is how other, other companies, or not companies, other industries can advertise their products. So for us, it's about getting subscribers so that our email list grows. And it is my team telling me, Leiann, you need to be more out there, which is, because I personally am an introvert, so it's not comfortable necessarily for me to kind of be out and about and doing that. And so we're trying to figure it out, because we have been banned a couple of times and we've had to start from scratch from an advertising perspective.
Wow.
We can't advertise products on Google, for instance. So if you, because it comes back to our site and there are full spectrum site and brand or products on our site, it can only be THC free on Google. So there are interesting dynamics that make it unique. And I think I feel badly for the consumer, to be honest, because that means they're not getting complete information about any brand,
Yeah.
really.
They're being
So
limited.
it's a challenge. I mean,
Yeah.
I should be very.
And that was my next question is, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in the Hempress Wellness, and would be marketing?
100% marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a tour, and I want to talk about the long-term vision for the company's growth and impact in the wellness space. So let me pull up the Hempress website. Let me just share really quickly here. Hopefully that's all you're going to see. Can you see the Hempress website?
Yeah, see, there it is. Join our
There
circle.
it is. Join the circle. It is right here. Join our circle. And so you can enter in your first name, your email, and sign up. Look at this, 10% off your first order, access to exclusive bundles and wellness tips. This is awesome. So let me just get rid of this, and then we can take a quick little tour here of your site. All right. So yeah, so I'm hoping you're not seeing there we go. All right, good. So you have your home, high quality CBD, thoughtfully curated from women-owned brands. Shop now. And then your shop, there you go. You have all products, bundles, capsules, soft gels, tablets, drinks, edibles, gift cards, intimacy, pain relief bundles, pets, skincare, spa and bath, THC-free tinctures, and topicals to round out a very beautiful menu. Love that. And then you have your learn section. Let's see, here we go. Empower your wellness journey with CBD. We know navigating the world of CBD can feel overwhelming with so many choices. Here you go, you've got your beginner's guide, how to choose the right CBD product, benefits of CBD, practical guide to CBD dosage, plus Hempress Wellness FAQs. Awesome. That's
And
amazing.
this is our growth opportunity here. So we're excited about growing this exponentially over the next 6 months.
Good, amazing. And then this is about us. So the about section is really important. Here we go. Here she is, Leiann, the founder of Hempress. And then we have the brands and contact us. I'm just going to pull up the contact us, which is great. Oops, might be a little slow. There you go. Look at this. Open hours, their location, phone number, email. Look at this, you guys. Get in touch anytime. And then the curated list of brands. We've got a lot of amazing brands here. Bahumi, Bloom Hemp, Bumble and Be Well, Empower Body Care, Hempress brand, Whole Leaf, Kaya Hemp, Curwell Wellness, Mindful Dog, Naked Oil, Oshana Life, and Oracle Wellness Company. Awesome. I am going to pull up Bloom since Bloom is sponsoring the show today. Yeah, so we believe hemp can heal the world and everyone can benefit. There we go. And then this is the Bloom section. And then some of the products that you have in your marketplace. Beautiful. Very well done. Yeah, it's lovely. Yeah.
We're very proud of what we built. Yes.
Yeah. Very, very good. So yeah, so for people that are, if someone had to say, we'll just kind of close it out with, here you are, what's your elevator speech? Hi, my name is Leiann Stephenson and I.
Hi, my name's Leiann Stephenson. I am the CEO and founder of Hempress Wellness, and we're passionate about natural wellness and CBD and hemp. Ask us any question. And that's really where I am, is people ask us questions, and we always say we may not have the answer, but we know where to go to get the answer.
Yes.
And we will make sure that question is answered.
Yes. Well, this has been a wonderful podcast. Leiann has also written an amazing blog. So if you go down below in the show notes, you're going to see a link to her blog where you can learn more about Leiann Stephenson and the Hempress. And remember, everyone, truly what it's all about. It is about living your best life and helping others do the same. And I'm going to end this amazing interview with one quick video, my other favorite video that I love to share. And let me put that up really quickly. Here we go. Share. I got to make it big so it stands out. And here we go.
We're here to educate and empower patients to make choices that are best for them. We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high. Hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I was cannabis agnostic for many, many years. And you know, the more research I did, the more I discovered that cannabis is this amazing medicine.
I was told that I had a 4-stage pancreatic cancer. The doctor really told me he couldn't do anything else. He gave me her name and she called me and she came to my house. She started to give me cannabis. My oncologist was puzzled because he couldn't find the cancer anymore.
All of the learning that we get comes from the green nurses, comes from their support, comes from their guidance. I trust everything that she says.
Simply meet people where they're at. The plant doesn't, stress to grow, so we don't stress to share it. We're healing people.
Cannabis has been used as a medicine for tens upon thousands of years. Here's the big message. Cannabis needs to be federally legal. We need to have laws that are the same across all 50 states that allow access to anyone and everyone who wants to utilize this powerful medicine.
And there you go. Growing in health, growing in cannabis. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And remember, it's all about living your best life and helping others do the same.